Hello and welcome everybody to this Verbling class. My name is Teacher Amy and today's class is about books that have changed your life. Really influential in some way, have made you see things differently, or just been really enjoyable and memorable. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We do have a list of recommended 50 books from the Entrepreneur website. And so those are focused on obviously sort of entrepreneur related things. But we're opening the scope a little bit so that we can include any book that we feel has been important. So have a think about that while you're arriving in class today, because we're going to be talking a lot about that today. So it's a speaking class. If you've never been to a Verbling class before, or you're relatively new, then I'll just share a few pages with you so that these can possibly help you out with your experience on Verbling. The first one is my Facebook page. And the second one is my Verbling teacher page. So the Facebook page is there. Obviously, if you're a Facebook fan, it might interest you to keep an eye on what's going on Verbling, perhaps like a few of the teachers and see their updates. But if you want some more concrete information about a teacher or classes or tutoring sessions, then you need to go to the Verbling teacher page, which is the second link, or the first link. They seem to have come up in a different order. So check that one out for information about schedules and timetabling, to find out who your teacher is, who more about them, watch their video, and maybe even get in touch. So there's a useful little messaging feature on there that you can use to get in touch with your teachers. All right, so as I mentioned before, if you've just arrived, this is a speaking class today, and our topic is the books that have changed my life. So it may be one book, it may be more than one. So have a little think about that. We're going to go and say hi to the students. So hello, first of all, to the lovely Zach. Hello, and how are you today?
Ensuite, Joel est allé chez le médecin, qui lui a annoncé que sa santé s'est détériorée considérablement.
Oh, we have, I don't know, a television presenter joining us in class today by the sounds of things. If you could just make sure your mics are muted, guys, if you're not talking, so that we don't get any overflow. Sorry, Zach. How are you? Are you there?
Yes, thank you.
Great to see you again today. Are you a good reader? Do you enjoy reading?
Not currently, but I used to read, yes, some nice books that I still remember.
Awesome. So, what kind of books did you used to read? What sort of genres were you interested in?
I was interested in Russian writers.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
George Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
I read it in Hebrew, translated from the original English.
Yeah.
One of the books I remember is the try to translate it, the Fisherman and the Fish.
Mm-hmm.
And 1984. Familiar with these two?
I don't recognize the title. Who wrote that?
George Orwell.
Ah, okay. No, I haven't read it. So that's obviously memorable for you. How long ago did you read those books?
3 years ago.
Okay, 3 years. All right, good. Thank you, Zach. We're gonna obviously talk about that in more detail. So thanks for the little intro. Let's say hello also to Raphael. How are you, Raphael?
Hello, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. What about you?
I'm great, thank you very much. Tell me about your reading habits, Raphael. Are you an avid reader?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not an avid reader. Lately, I'm just reading topics related to my job and my professional and manuals, reports. Nothing special. Not so much literary.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I have to say this is one of my biggest flaws. I don't have enough patience to sit down and grab a book and reading. Unfortunately, it's something I really need to change. At least I'm being honest, because I don't know, it's something I have to do more often.
Definitely. Do you like reading other kinds of things like magazines or blogs or newspapers?
Lately, just newspapers and websites because it's more practical. I don't like read huge news. News with so much information. I'd rather choose smaller news in which you just I'd be able to focus just the main topics. I think it's easier to memorize and understand what's happening.
Yeah. So like the headlines, sort of.
Yes, I have the headlines.
Okay, thanks, Raphael. Welcome to the class. It's great to see you again.
Thank you.
Philip, how are you today? Are you there?
Yeah, teacher, I'm fine.
Are you back to work, Philip, after your day off yesterday?
No, I'm still in. Yesterday and today I'm in.
You're in or you're ill?
I'm in.
In your house or?
Yeah, in my house.
All right, you've been staying in.
Yeah. Yes, I stay in.
All right, and what have you been doing with yourself? Have you been on Verblink 24/7, or have you been reading?
It's 24/7.
Very impressive, Philip. So, do you enjoy reading? Tell us what kind of things you like to read.
Oh, I did when I was young, but now I read just newspapers and Verblink classes, the course.
Okay, awesome. So, you maybe read a little bit. You say? Are you still there, Philip?
There is technical issues. I didn't hear the question.
I said you read less now, less frequently than you did when you were younger.
Yes.
Okay. I think this is probably the same for a lot of us, just because of a time constraint of modern life.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. Thanks, Philip. Welcome.
Thank you, teacher.
Natalia with the beautiful yellow flowers. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Tell us about your reading, Natalia. What kind of things do you read? Did you read?
So actually, I like reading. So I would say that reading is one of my favorite pastimes. And well, suddenly now I don't have so much time to read, but when I have time, I try to do it. And I like reading different kinds of things. Well, I like classical literature, both Russian, and from time to time I try reading classical literature in English. And so I also like modern literature and actually different genres as well. I like fiction, but also memoirs, for example, or something that okay, so some I even don't know. Well, some reflections, well, some philosophy, something of this kind.
All right, that's great. Well, it sounds like you've got quite a diverse reading range, Natalia.
Yeah, so maybe.
That's good. I think you can learn a lot from reading. I just want to mention everybody while we're saying hello and welcoming the students. Just have a think about the books that you're going to talk about a bit later. Particular books.
Verbling. I'm sure.
Particular books that made some kind of an impact on you, that you really enjoyed, that made you think, perspective. And we want to know a little bit about the book, who wrote it, what happens in it, what kind of book is it, and why was it so memorable or impactful in your life. So just have a think about that in the background. Ksenia, how are you today?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
Great, it's good to see you. How about you? Do you like reading? Did you read a lot when you were little?
Yes, of course. I love reading, and I was reading all my childhood. I read a lot of books, but nowadays, as everyone, I don't have free time to read.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So when do you read as an adult? Do you ever read when you go on holiday, or is it just something that's not really part of your life anymore?
Of course, I read on my holidays because I don't like to watch TV or something else. Yes, usually I read.
Okay, great. Well, it's good to know that we still keep up reading somehow, even if it's not as regularly as we would like. But thank you, Ksenia. Welcome, and we'll say hi to Khaled. How are you this morning? Or this evening, wherever you are.
Thank you, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you, Khaled. It's great to find out all these different things about people's reading habits, and I wonder actually just if your country influences your reading habits, whether or not reading is really promoted, and if it is, what kinds of books are promoted. So Khaled, do you read, and what kind of books do you read?
Yes, but here in my country and in the region that I live in general, people have to work because there is no arrangement for your work. We not organized people, because therefore we have to work because we cannot arrange our life, the duties that you have to do, social duties, and in addition to, there is no organization for your work. There is no specific time to start and no specific time to end, and the social duties that you have to do prevent you from reading. If you don't reading in the 20th of your you will not be able to read in the 30 or 40 like my friends here in the class. There is no time. There is no time. You have to work. You have to. There is no specific time. There is no organization. As my work as contractor, I cannot read. That is not in general in my society. There is a lot of people who are reading and they are interesting in reading in general, but the majority of the society, they are workers just like me. We have to work. We have to look for our work. I like to read. I read in the university, but now I don't have much time. The society in general not organized like your society.
Okay, that was really interesting. Thank you, Khaled, for sharing.
You're welcome.
Sometimes we just assume that everybody's the same and you bring your own perspective from your country, but it does certainly make a difference in some areas. So thanks for sharing. Thanks and welcome. Anna, how are you today?
I am fine, thank you for asking.
It's great to see you again. Tell us about your reading habits.
Okay. I also have a variety taste in books. I read from comics to philosophy books, and I also used to read more. And nowadays, like my classmates, I don't have a lot of spare time to read, but I enjoy. And my favorite book is one that I read when I was a preteen. A preteen teenager, a child.
Yep.
It is called Pollyanna. And have you read this one?
I haven't actually read it, but I've seen the film.
Oh, yes. Okay. I enjoyed it because of the message, the happiness game. And I think it's good. Oh my gosh, it's a way to see the positive side of everything always and keep being optimistic, I know it sounds a bit silly, but I believe it's a great message, even for adults.
Yep, for sure. All right, thank you, Anna. Interesting one. And hello, Victor.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Have I met you before?
I don't know. Maybe once, but.
All right. Well, welcome anyway. We're just discussing our reading habits and what kind of books has made an impact on us, which we're going to go deeper into shortly. But how much do you read, Victor? Do you have time for reading? Do you enjoy reading?
I don't read a lot like a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I read it for study or work, but a month ago I started to read about a spiritual book. It's like we all are the same. In reality, we are the same as a consciousness, and it's strange. It's like a spiritual upgrade. Don't know how to explain.
All right. Well, that's okay. We won't go too much into explanation now. I'm going to set you a little task in a moment anyway. So I just wanted to say hello. Idea how much we read, what kinds of things we read. So my little task for you. I hope that you've all been thinking of a book. We'll start off with one, I think. What I'd like you to do is of the book, or one of the books that have really, really made an impact on your life, that maybe changed the way you thought about something, or maybe you just really enjoyed the story and it was just pure entertainment and it stayed with you, or maybe writing style inspired you, or whatever it may be, some kind of a book that's impacted you deeply. What I want you to do with that book is present it to us and try and convince us as to why we should read this book, because it's so amazing. In what way? I would like you to tell us the title. If it's in another language, just a rough translation is fine, just sort of roughly what the book might be called in English. I'll see if I can find them. Who wrote it, what genre it is, and then why it impacted you and why you think the rest of us should read your book. Okay, so hopefully by the end of class we'll have a nice list of inspiring books that we can go away and read. So I'm just going to open up and see if anyone would like to go first. Somebody might already be ready with their book idea. If not, I'll give you just a few minutes to think about it.
May I?
Absolutely, Anna. Thank you. You can start us off. So what's your book?
Okay. I should have brought up this one instead of Pollyanna.
Okay, but Pollyanna.
No, not Pollyanna. To be or to have by Eric Fromm.
Okay. Can you type that into the chat box for us so we have a record of it?
Do you wanna know what is it about?
Yeah, sorry, you've already typed into the box. Brilliant. Carry on. I want to know everything about it, Anna.
Okay. Oh my gosh. He is existentialist, psychologist, and it's about society and how it has been deviating from its original path. Because people have this craving for consumption, and we give more value for things that we own, than who we are. You know what I mean? And then it brings up the question: what is more important? And because when you die, you cannot carry things that you own and materialistic things, but what you did and who you were will last maybe forever, you know. So we should give it more value than material things, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, well explained, Anna. So tell me, when did you read this book? How recently?
Okay, 1 year ago, the language is very difficult. It's very advanced. I read in Portuguese, but it was difficult, even in my native language.
Okay.
It's because I decided to explore a bit about existentialism, because I have read the words by Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay.
You know?
Yes.
And yes, and I thought it was difficult and enjoyable at the same time, and it also brought up a lot of questions about life and the meaning of the life and so on.
Yeah.
And our responsibility for being ourselves. Oh my gosh, how can I say? We have to take up responsibility, no matter what happened to us, you know. No matter your nature, no matter your nurture, and no matter no matter situations that you went through. You cannot be a victim. You have to act upon things and take responsibilities, you know. You have to make things, if their life, no, sorry, if life give you a lemon, do a lemonade.
Make lemonade. Make lemonade.
Make lemonade. I made a bunch of mistakes. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, that's what the class is for, Anna. All right, well explained, and you went straight for a really, really tough one there, because explaining kind of like psychology and existentialism isn't the easiest, but well done. So you chose this book, I think, because it really made you think about something that's very important in life. So it has stayed with you. Excellent choice. Thank you for sharing that with us, Anna. If you're interested in reading that, it's called To Have or To Be by Erich Fromm. Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
To
okay,
be
who would like to go
or to
next?
have.
To be or to have, the other way around. Okay, the other way around, guys. All right, who would like to go next with their book? It doesn't have to be an existentialist book. It could be, you know, a children's book. Who knows? Anyone else like to talk?
I can.
Okay, great.
My last book was Shantaram. I think it is a very popular book. I think everyone have read it, but maybe no.
I haven't, so there you go. You can tell us what it's all about, Ksenia.
Oh, it's a really big book. It's about 1,000 pages, but it costs to read it, because for me it's very interesting. It's a novel about man with a difficult life. It was a prisoner, I don't know, from maybe Australia or maybe England, and he decided to start a new life and go to India.
Okay.
And also escaped from some government. She was a prisoner, something like a criminal, and he had a very beautiful and interesting life in India. India is a very poor country, but he lived in a, oh my God, I forgot this area in India with poor people, with
a
slum. Yes, he lived in a slum, and however, he was a criminal and prisoner. He was very kind and generous man. He helped everyone to build, to take care for children, and also he hung out with the elite in India, so she can hang out with poor and with the elite. And it was one case in this book when he was in prison in England or Australia, I don't remember. He was in a single room, and he had no one but a little mouse. So he tamed it. He spoke, played with him, but when he released,
When he was released?
When he was released, their new prisoner come to his room, and he killed this mouse because he is some crazy. And this man say so he shouldn't tame this mouse. If this mouse stayed a wild, this mouse wasn't be killed by this man.
Wouldn't have been killed.
Wouldn't have been killed.
Yeah.
And it was very. And I was very kind to all animals, and if I see a stray dog or cat, I always try to care them or feed them. And after this case, I think that maybe I do something wrong with them. Maybe if I fed them, and other angry people could hurt them, so I stopped doing it. And I think it's more better for me nowadays. I'm not so stressed about this all stray animal. I think they should live their own lives, and we shouldn't do with them something, because it's their life and they should solve their problem, find some food, and I don't know, by themselves.
How fascinating. So that actually has changed your actions, your behavior.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for that description. That sounds like such an interesting book. So it's a work of fiction, right? It's a made-up story.
I don't know for sure. Okay. Maybe. I think it's, yes, made-up fiction.
Okay.
It was very, wow, real. It's very difficult to live such life.
Wow, that sounds really fascinating. Thank you for sharing that novel with us. And I love the way that you've changed your attitude because of reading that book. That's rather impressive. All right, thank you. Who else would like to share a book?
Can I?
Yes, go ahead, Khaled. Great.
4 or 5 years I studied as a book that I have to read in university, which is Criminal and Punishment. I think it is from Russia and Heritage. It is very famous.
Yep.
Crime and Punishment. It's a very good novel. Let's speak about the psychology of the criminal who has a problem inside him, and this is a very, very good story. I think you have to read it. In addition to Old Man and the Sea, it's very, very famous in the English literature. It is full of the metaphorical about the Christ suffer during his life and what happens to the fisher during his journey to the sea.
Yep.
And but he win at last, but the cost was so high. It is very, very, very good stories that I suggest you, maybe my friends maybe enjoy reading. In my culture, there is also story. I don't what's the exact translation in the English to the English, but is I think it will be the shell.
The shell. Okay. Yeah.
The shell. Shell.
The child. The child.
No, shell.
Can you type it for us so that we can maybe look it up if we want to? Thanks.
CHILD.
Yeah. Okay.
Shell. It is a very good story. You can read it. It's about a prisoner who lives under the obsession of aggressive government that punish him because he was living in France, in France. I don't know what it is.
France, yeah.
And he came back to his country. In the airport, he was arrested. He was Christian, but originally he was Christian, but the government accused him by being a Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he go to the jail and live with the Muslim people, and he say what is the reality of a Muslim. They were kind with him, even if he is a Christian, and he wrote every details that happens to the in the jail. It is the human side in this story is very affecting me, because it's suffering. And there is the famous sentences in the story when he go out from the jail, or who released to go out and to live his life. The first time he walked in the street, he looked at the people. They are walking, they are praying, they are working. He said, "Why you are silent? You have why you are silent? Why don't fight for me?" Because he's
Why
suffering a
are
lot.
you silent, Khaled? Why are you silent? Why don't you fight for me?
Yes, why don't fight for me? Because I suffered a lot in the what about 20 years or 70 years, more than 70 years in the jail. He
Wow.
suffered,
Yeah.
and he saw very bad scenes about his friend, what happens to them in the jail.
Okay.
It's very
That sounds fascinating.
Yes, I don't know but maybe in the next time, God willing, I will provide with the good translation for you in your English. Maybe you can enjoy it. It will take, I think, no more than 2 days.
Okay,
But
so
this
it's quite a
is
short book.
fantastic story.
Brilliant. All right, this is really interesting to find out all these diverse stories, and I can definitely vouch for the Old Man and the Sea.
I like stories like Old Man the Sea, Crime and Punishment. The Russian heritage is very good, and they describe the scene in perfect manner.
Okay, so good writing.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Khaled. That's awesome. So, guys, if you could just type the titles and, if possible, the authors into the chat box. It just means that everybody who's listening, if they find your story, if they find it interesting, they can look it up themselves. So that's really helpful. I'll try to write some in myself as well. Okay, who's next? Thank you, you three. Anyone else like to go next?
I can.
All right, Philip, thank you. Off you go. What are you going to tell us about? What book has impacted you?
Yes, the book that impacted me these few years is a book written by a Swiss man called Pierre Glaser.
Okay.
The title of the book, which is a translation from French to English, The New Masters of the World.
Okay.
And those who resist them.
All right.
Yes, it helped me write in most of my subject in Master of Public Administration. And the book is about the negative role of the multinational in the developing country.
Wow.
Yes, and and no reaction from the big countries like United States, England, French, and so on.
France.
Yeah. The book talk about the multinational that misappropriate the population for their land, their environment, their money, and so on by many techniques. And they are too powerful so that they can even make the international organization work for them.
Yeah.
Like the EMI, EMF.
Yep. The
Yes.
IMF.
IMF.
Yeah.
Yes, IMF. who is in charge to regulate the money among countries. They skip their role now to work for them. All the regulations is for them to increase their power, and people are suffering in developing countries because of that. See, all the dam that are constructed even in Brazil, and it causes floods and poverty in those countries.
Okay, so this is a non-fiction book, and I guess it was the reason why you read it was to help you with your studies. So it was quite factual, and it sounds like it might be quite detailed as well, but definitely fascinating if you're interested in that kind of subject.
Yes.
Why did you pick that one, Philip? Is it something that stayed with you? Have you thought about it a lot in your life since you read it?
Yes, I'm from a developing country, so it helped me to understand why we are still so poor, while at the same time we have all the natural resources and so on.
Okay, that is very interesting, and I think, you know, that's something that's a little bit confusing and certainly difficult to understand. So if anyone's interested, read that book. Thank you, Philip. What a wide range of different books we have so far. All right, awesome. Who would like to go next?
May I?
Yes. Okay, Raphael, go ahead.
When I was in college, I have to read a book and write a resume of it. I don't know if one of our classmates have also read this book. It's Who Moved My Cheese from Spencer Johnson. It's a quite a funny story, and it's a very it represents a little bit, although being a silly story, what some people might consider a silly story, it represents a lot what we have to undergo in our careers, because it tells a story about two mice and two little men.
Two mice. Two mice, sorry. One mouse, two mice, not mices. Go ahead.
Sorry. They have to escape of a maze. Not to escape of a maze. They have to find their amount of cheese. The cheese in the story represents success. It represents the goals of life. You know, their objectives. And they represent their richness. But they start eating the cheese. The time goes through, and once suddenly they realize that the cheese dwindled down and finished, and they have to go through the maze to look for another amount of cheese. But one of those men, the little man, he was afraid of changing, because he was accustomed with that place they were living. And when they have to change to look for another amount of cheese, there was a lot of discussion, because one of the men, they decided to go through and look for another cheese, but the other man was afraid of, because they haven't lived their area so far, and everyone is afraid of the unknown, and he wasn't expecting. He doesn't know what was going next, what will happen at the end. And it's a very interesting story, and I advise everyone who likes to read it. It's a small story. You can read it in a couple hours. There are only 96 pages. So
okay, a short story.
Yes, very short story. Yes.
So is the entire book a meta? Is it just about the mice, Raphael? But you have to kind of read into the metaphor yourself, or does it explain anything about it?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, is the entire book just about the mice?
No, it's about a pair of mice. And a pair and two little men.
Okay.
They have to go through. It's a kind of metaphor for the pursuit of success in our life. So.
That sounds like a very fun book, and sometimes just like The Old Man and the Sea. Actually, it's a short book, but it just has a huge impact when you read it. It's very clever. So very interesting, Raphael. And why did you pick this book of all the books you've read to talk about today?
Well, firstly I picked this book because it was I have to because I have to write a report for my graduation.
You already knew how to explain it. Yeah, fair enough.
Yes, but at the end I enjoyed the story, and it helped me to be a little bit more interested in this self-improvement books.
All right, awesome. Looks like Anna's read it as well. And Anna, did you find it interesting too?
Yes, it was also mandatory for me.
Mandatory. Yeah.
Yes, in school, and it is about changes, and the author brought up it in the book. It's a metaphor, but he explains it, the metaphor.
Okay, he does explain it, so you're not just
He
reading.
does.
Okay.
No.
That was what I was wondering.
In the introduction.
Okay.
He brought it up, and also in the conclusion.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds definitely like one I'm going to attempt to read if I come across it. Thank you, Raphael. All right. So we've got who would like to go next? We've got Natalia. We've got Zach, Victor. Welcome also Adela. We're just talking about books that have impacted us. So I will come to you at the end. We have time, but you're very welcome to join in and listen. Who would like to go next?
How can I try then?
Okay, Natalia, off you go.
Yeah, okay. So I would like to tell you about the book which I consider really impacted me several years ago. So probably the genre of the book is memoirs, and these are the memoirs of monk of Russian Orthodox Church, Tikhon. So actually he is the head of monastery in the center of Moscow.
Wow.
And yeah, so well, just a moment. Well, oops. So I'm just typing the title of it.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, so it's called Everyday Saints. Well, it seems to me that my Webling. So it has appeared. So Everyday Saints by Archimandrite Tikhon. So Archimandrite means that so some. Okay, so a priest with a high rank. That is what it means, and he tells us about the way he came to monastery and about the way he came to Orthodox Christianity in 1980s during the Soviet Union, when actually religion was almost outlawed in the Soviet Union. So I mean, yeah, so all kinds of religion were prosecuted, and Orthodox Christianity wasn't an exception. And being a postgraduate student of Cinematographical Institute in Moscow, he found Christianity, and he came to monastery, and so he describes different episodes of his route, of his way, and he gives the portraits, outlines of monks, and I mean, it's really very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. And as I say, well, it impacted my life as well, because well, probably it coincided with the moment that I began to consider religion at a newer level. I mean that I came to religion, to Christianity, to be more exact, and so at that moment the book was published, and I guess that so I found that so I had something in common with the book, and so with my own feelings and so on. And actually, the book is really very well written. So the language is perfect. Well, certainly, in order to enjoy, probably you should read it in Russian, but it is translated into English, and so I guess it's available somewhere in the internet or somewhere else.
I'm sure it would be, Natalia. Thank you. And you bring up a very good point. Reading is obviously a great way to improve your English. So if there are any English books that have taken your fancy, and there are great translations of some of the ones we've mentioned as well, with other authors. So awesome. So that's a really different one about religion and how this guy, who it looks to me like he's an archbishop. Would that be the right word? I should think. It looks a little bit similar.
No. So Archbishop has a much higher rank than this archimandrite. So okay. So it's a difficult system. So probably
difficult to translate. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody important in the church. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, thank you, Natalia. And that's a really different one to bring to the table. Awesome. And obviously Khaled was talking about a religious type of an aspect as well with his books. So there's a couple of religious, religion-related, shall we say, books. Awesome. Thanks, Natalia. So who would like to go next?
Well, I can go next.
Brilliant, thank you. Zach, if you could just make sure you speak nice and loud because your microphone's a little bit quieter than the others.
Okay.
That's better.
I'd like to mention a children book.
Yep.
It calls the Giving Tree, written by Shel Silverstein. It is about a tree and a boy, and it begins with the grown-up tree, old tree, and the little boy, and the boy is asking things from the tree, and the tree is a symbol of giving, and the boy is a symbol of taking. And at the beginning, the tree gives the boy everything. It gives him shade. It gives him fruits. He let him climb his branches. And during the short story, the boy is growing up and uses the tree and comes in some in years to come, and uses the tree and cut his branches, and till the end, and at the end of the story, he uses his how do I say, he uses its wood to build a house, and it's a nice metaphor for give and take. And,
awesome.
And at the end, the tree is saying, I don't need very much now. The boy, actually, at the end, when the boy is old, is an old man, he understands that he doesn't need very much, and he just want to sit quietly and rest besides what left of the tree. So it's a nice.
All right, so that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like a kind of quite a philosophical book, but it's a nice way of understanding it because it's a story, right?
Yes, it's a short story written for kids, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely good for adults too, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, thank you for that one, Zach. Why did you choose that one particularly?
Because I think it's speaking in many levels, can be meaningful for everybody, and it's simple and brilliant, I think.
All right, so That sounds like a great one as well, especially if you're looking for a short read. We've got some really good shorter stories and some really, really hefty ones as well. So thank you, Zach. A lovely addition. All right, who have we got left? Victor, would you like to share a story with us?
Well, I don't have a story because I don't read really much, but I got the point that I should read more. Because,
Great!
There are good stories around.
Yep. Absolutely. Perhaps you will be able to find a few of the ones that have been mentioned today in class and give those a go. Highly recommended by your fellow Verbling students, Victor.
I didn't understand you exactly, but
I was just saying maybe you can use this class as a starting point to help you read some more stories. If you find The Giving Tree or maybe Who Moved My Cheese, they're not too difficult to get into and they're shorter but still entertaining. Maybe you could try them. That's great. Does anyone have any tips for Victor, before we go to Adela, about finding books that are good? How do you guys find good books? Is it a matter of fluke or chance? Do you have a friend who you often ask? Do you have any tips that are really, really good ways of finding good books?
I think for start it should be popular.
Okay.
Some popular book.
Yeah. So check out on the internet maybe, Victor, and see what's popular with other people. It will give you a head start. Good point, Ksenia. Anyone else?
Amazon Top should help.
Amazon? Yeah. Good idea. So maybe that's a good way to get going. I just want to welcome Adela because we haven't spoken yet this lesson. Adela, have you got a book that you would like to share with us?
When I was younger, I read Little Prince for Saint-Exupéry. I enjoy a lot with this book because same a children book, but is more complex because they talk about the human nature, the relationship, and sometimes the friendness. I think it's very interesting.
Absolutely. Actually, that's got to be one of my favorite books. Good choice, Adela. It's almost like a children's book, but not, because it's really got a lot of hidden meanings. And it's a bit of a crazy story, but it's not too long. If you've never read it, I highly recommend you read that for definitely a smile. It will definitely make you smile. It might take you a while before you understand all the hidden meanings. That's the only thing. But thanks, Adela. All right, so apart from Amazon, anyone else got any highly great recommendations to make before we finish off today, or any tips about finding some more reading material? Nobody?
I can say someone like active when the people do something, and someone like just read about nature. I don't know how the author describes some trees, flowers. I don't like this. So I like some action, when some story and some lessons we can teach. So you should maybe see what you want to read, and don't read about nature if you don't want to read, because it will be very boring for you.
Good point. Identify what it is you actually enjoy reading about, because there are so many genres and so many styles of writing. Some of the ones that you mentioned today have very particular styles. If you've never read a book by Ernest Hemingway, then you'll find that a bit surprising, I think. But obviously, if you don't appreciate that in a book and you just want to go for storyline or plot or some juice, then look for those kinds of books. There's plenty of them about. And also try and read translations or books from other languages, because I think, for example, as Khaled was saying before, it's kind of interesting to find out about other parts of the world through reading, at least in my own opinion. Alright, well, I wish you the best of luck with increasing your reading a little bit, maybe. Don't forget, it will definitely help you with your English, and I recommend that you don't look up every single word that you don't understand. I would only look up something in a dictionary if it's really preventing you from understanding the part that you're reading, or if it comes up again and again and again. But don't waste your time looking up every single word, because it will be too inhibitive to your actual reading progress. And you'll find that you pick things up due to the context anyway. So good luck. I hope you all get stuck into some kind of a book this weekend. Have a great weekend, and I will see you guys. Oh, unless you're coming to my writing class next, we're going to be on the theme of books again. If you want to practice your writing, come along. If not, have a great weekend. I will see you all again soon. Take care. See you later.
Thank you, Amy.
Bye.
Bye. Reading, unfortunately, is something I really need to change. At least I'm being honest, because I don't know, it's something I have to do more often.
Definitely. Do you like reading other kinds of things, like magazines or blogs or newspapers?
Lately, just newspapers and websites, because it's more practical. I don't like read huge news, news with so much information. I'd rather choose smaller news in which you just I'd be able to focus just the main topics. I think it's easier to memorize and understand what's happening.
Yeah. So like the headlines, sort of.
Yes, the headlines.
Okay, thanks, Raphael. Welcome to the class. It's great to see you again.
Thank you.
Philip, how are you today? Are you there?
Yeah, teacher, I'm fine.
Are you back to work, Philip, after your day off yesterday? Concrete information about a teacher or classes or tutoring sessions, then you need to go to the Verbling teacher page, which is the second link, or the first link. They seem to have come up in a different order. So check that one out for information about schedules and timetabling, to find out who your teacher is, who more about them, watch their video, and maybe even get in touch. So there's a useful little messaging feature on there that you can use to get in touch with your teachers. All right, so as I mentioned before, if you've just arrived, this is a speaking class today, and our topic is the books that have changed my life. So it may be one book, it may be more than one. So have a little think about that. We're going to go and say hi to the students. So hello, first of all, to the lovely Zach. Hello, and how are you today?
Ensuite, Joel est allé chez le médecin, qui lui a annoncé que sa santé s'est détériorée considérablement.
Oh, we have, I don't know, a television presenter joining us in class today by the sounds of things. If you could just make sure your mics are muted, guys, if you're not talking, so that we don't get any overflow. Hello and welcome everybody to this Verbling class. My name is Teacher Amy, and today's class is about books that have changed your life. Really influential in some way, have made you see things differently, or just been really, really enjoyable and memorable. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We do have a list of recommended 50 books from the Entrepreneur website. And so those are focused on, obviously, sort of entrepreneur-related things. But we're opening the scope a little bit so that we can include any book that we feel has been important. So have a think about that while you're arriving in class today, because we're going to be talking a lot about that today. So it's a speaking class. If you've never been to a Verbling class before, or you're relatively new, then I'll just share a few pages with you so that these can possibly help you out with your experience on Verbling. The first one is my Facebook page. And the second one is my Verbling teacher page. So the Facebook page is there. Obviously, if you're a Facebook fan, it might interest you to keep an eye on what's going on Verbling, perhaps like a few of the teachers and see their updates. But if you want some more, sorry, Zach. How are you? Are you there?
Yes, thank you.
Great to see you again today. Are you a good reader? Do you enjoy reading?
Not currently, but I used to read, yes, some nice books that I still remember.
Awesome. So, what kind of books did you used to read? What sort of genres were you interested in?
I was interested in Russian writers.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
George Orwell.
Mm-hmm.
I read it in Hebrew, translated from the original English.
Yeah.
One of the books I remember is the try to translate it, the Fisherman and the Fish.
Mm-hmm.
And 1984. Familiar with this too?
I don't recognize the title. Who wrote that?
George Orwell.
Ah, okay. No, I haven't read it. So that's obviously memorable for you. How long ago did you read those books?
3 years ago.
Okay, 3 years. All right, good. Thank you, Zach. We're gonna obviously talk about that in more detail. So thanks for the little intro. Let's say hello also to Raphael. How are you, Raphael?
Hello, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. What about you?
I'm great, thank you very much. Tell me about your reading habits, Raphael. Are you an avid reader?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not an avid reader. Lately, I'm just reading topics related to my job and my professional and manuals, reports. Nothing special. Not so much literary.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I have to say this is one of my biggest flaws. I don't have enough patience to sit down and grab a book and